Ladies and gentlemen, it's review time. Today I have a Star Wars set from the year 2000. Before we get started, this is my 17th set out of 1080 LEGO Star Wars sets that exist on this Earth. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into the review. So this goofy looking nonsense you see before you is LEGO set 7180, the B-Wing at Rebel Control Center. This released January 2000, came with 338 pieces, 3 minifigures, and originally retailed for $30. Adjusted for inflation, it's now $56, but if you want it new in box, it's going to cost you around $120, and if you want it used in okay condition, it'll cost you about $65. Let's get into those minifigures. So starting off with our first minifigure, we have R5-D4. The little astromech here retails for around $10. As you can see, he is pretty basic for astromechs. I mean, all astromechs are. In comparison to modern day ones, he is a little bit different. Not drastically different, but this astromech has been seen before in a couple of sets. Don't know exactly which ones, but I believe he's been in a couple Rebel sets before. So nothing unique, but he's there. Next minifigure is an absolute Chad who's also appeared in other sets before. For example, the 1999 X-Wing. But this is the Rebel Technician. He's appeared before, and he always has his iconic cart with him, which I'll show you in a minute, but pretty basic minifigure, only torso printing and one face printing. Nothing on the back, nothing on the legs, nothing on the arms, and nothing behind that absolute Giga Chad mustache he has on the front. You could see what they tried to do with hair poking through, and I believe if you take off his hat, it looks a little off. Yup. He's got one wild haircut. Anyways, he appears in a couple LEGO Star Wars sets. He's not very unique. He does go for $15 though. Our final minifigure up is our most expensive minifigure, coming in at $25. This is the B-Wing Rebel Pilot, who comes in red. So first thing I noticed about this minifigure was his helmet print, which looked almost on par with what we get today. Obviously, a little bit different, but I noticed that he does have only one torso printing, no back printing, or no leg printing, and no arm printing. He does not get an alternate face. He just gets that classic Lego man smile. But he does have eyebrows, unlike the regular classic Lego man who does not. So he has that going for him. But yeah, he is a $25 minifigure, so we'll have to keep an eye on him. First up here we have the smallest build in the set, which is the Technician's Cart. And you're probably noticing the colorful detail on this cart, and that's just because LEGO did not have the money to make new colored pieces for their sets, and also they didn't know how their themes would perform, so they weren't going to put a lot of money into it. Besides that though, getting into this cart, it's connected with a loose ball joint, so it easily moves around, unlike other ones where it can be stiff. Starting in the back here, you can see that you could probably connect more carts if you wanted to, make one really long cart. So this thing is all his tools, and this actually is just sitting on smooth tiles, if the camera will focus. And so it's literally just slots in there and sits there, and it's held in pretty well by the just friction and these rails. And so obviously if that wasn't there and you were going absolutely ham on this cart, it's going to fall off, versus having that in place there. This stays really tight in there. You can take all of the tools off if you want. Don't know why you would do that. They're a pain to put in there, and they're a pain to keep track of. So I will not be taking them out. Next up, we have the actual seat for the Technician, and you literally just take him and slot him in there like so, and he just chills. There is some controls in there, and then there's just some lighting effect stuff. This arm can go up and down, and then it can go up and down here. And actually at the end it has a saw and whatever this is supposed to represent. A flashlight? I don't really know. But it sits on just some smooth, round, or I don't know what you would call those. The stuff that makes it glide well. So you can see it moves around really well. There's nothing more to it. It's just a cart. Next up, we have the base, the Rebel base, and this one does some fun, funky stuff that I'll show you in a minute. But first up, you have the front of the base, or what I think is the front of the base, and you have these little cylindrical pieces here, and if you just pull them, you actually have the very first sliding doors. That's not true. I think they were in a space theme before this one, but it was the very first sliding doors for the Star Wars theme. So it's very tight, but it can fit a minifigure through there. Just barely. My giant hand's not going to be able to do it, but yeah. So these just slide open and shut. Where this set gets fun is when you flip it around, you can see that it looks kind of tight and that it's not very much going on. But that's when you can open it up like this. And this one is, it's rough to handle with because it looks best in this form, in my opinion, where it's closed up and actually looks like a decent base. But I would understand why it folds open like this to give more access, and you can see the doors better there. I thought this piece was cool. This is like a printed clear piece showing the Death Star. I don't know, the second Death Star, I think that's supposed to be, but it's just showing the way I think it's connected to Endor and how it's being pulled by Endor. I don't really know, but yeah, it is a cool printed clear piece. Nothing more to really say about this section of the set. It's very basic. There's a chair here that you can sit a minifigure in, and it kind of just is part of the set. Fun fact about this base actually is that it is eerily similar to the Lego space theme at the time and their bases. So this is eerily similar to how the space themes bases were and looked like, with the blue coloring and the white and the gray, and this tank here is a nod to them too. So that's just really cool. But it is really janky and it is annoying to have. I don't know. Let's get into the ship. So sitting here in front of me is the B-Wing, I think it's called. Where other ships get their name because of the way they look, like the X-Wing and the Y-Wing. I actually have no idea why this gets called the B-Wing. I think the B is supposed to stand for bomber, but I genuinely have no idea. So you're gonna notice the weird coloring is back, obviously, because it's 2000. But let's start at the cockpit, which is my least favorite part about this set. I don't know what's on it. So this cockpit is really janky, and the reason it is so janky is when this thing goes into flight mode, this has to be able to turn, and I'll show you that in a minute. But it's not a strong enough connection because it's just barely held on by this. So like that. But I guess you could make it like a little escape pod or something, or do something with it. But yeah, you can see the cockpit is very bare bones. But yeah, it just slots in there like that. Putting the minifigure inside of here. And you can see he just sits in there, and then this closes up and he's all nice and tight in there. You're not supposed to take it off to put him in there, but otherwise this thing is super fragile. It likes to fall apart a lot, but yeah, the cockpit just comes open and closed like that. Moving on to this body, this section right here. You can see 4 engines at the back that are also decently fragile. And then we actually have this weird area where I think bombs are supposed to be, but there was no bombs included in this set. So I don't actually have any idea what this area is for, but it does open and close for some reason. Like, they don't even have weapons or anything, so I guess you could put the tools back there. I don't even know if they'll fit. I mean, if you turn these, it might. I mean, yeah, I guess you could do that. I don't know. This whole area is up to you, what you want to do with it. You could probably fit a minifigure back there, but yeah, so it is odd. The rest of this is just structural, I don't know, to keep it together. Moving down to the wings, we're going to have 3 of them. This middle longest one is stationary, and it is very fragile. The gun pieces here at the end of each of them are very fragile. All of the pieces like to come apart on this set, and that's partly why it doesn't look good on display either, because of the colors, but it's also hard to display because of how fragile it is. But each of the wings is on the what do you call those? The jaw pieces for the fixed rotation, so they sit at each point, unlike the hinged pieces like this where it could be stopped anywhere. So actually what you do with this is these wings are supposed to come all the way out to 90 degrees, and I have to zoom out so you can see it. The ship looks like this, and you can't even see it. Hold up. Oh man. This is what the ship looks like in flight mode, and so that's why you need that thing to be so fragile on the top. The cockpit is so that it turns and flies, and that's kind of the same idea with the Boba Fett's ship at this time, and I'll be doing a review on that one next. But yeah, it looks cool when it's folded out like this, but like I said, it's very fragile, and I'm holding it with one hand. I don't know, this isn't my favorite ship. I think Lego redid this one maybe once or twice in the future. I'm not well versed on this ship, but it does exist. It's not bad, and it's not great. So my final ranking and thoughts on this set is that this set is not my favorite. It's very janky, and it's hard to display, in my opinion, which is why it gets a solid 5 out of 10. Other than that, it's trash. It doesn't even remind me of Star Wars just looking at it. It's just odd. Anyways, peace out. So before this video ends, I just want to say shout out to all of the 200 subscribers I have. Thank y'all for supporting. I love each and every one of you. And to those of you who are going to subscribe and going to stick around, I love y'all so much as well. Sorry the content's been weird recently, but I don't care. I don't give a shit, in all honesty. But I am going to be doing only Star Wars content from now on. I'm not going to take down the other videos. I'm going to leave them up because it's too much effort to take the other videos down. But just know that my journey to get all 1080 Star Wars sets is, it's going to be changing a little bit. I'm just not going to do it in chronological order anymore. So the way I was doing it before is I was just doing sets in the year that they released, but I'm gonna stop doing that now just because it's too expensive, and because I want to get newer sets so they don't retire, and then in the future I have to go back and get them. So they'll just be all out of order, and I'm fine with that. But I'll be in the title of each video of every review I do, you will see a little tracker where it says what set it is out of 1080. So this is actually set number 17, and so that was my just one little note. subscribe. Peace out.